All right. So, welcome to a special episode of Fan Film Fridays. Those of you hearing and listening to this are probably part of our Crusaders Club. And if you're not, then you should be. But that's okay. It's going out to the general public too, just at a slightly delayed rate. But this is a special episode because I am joined by none other than John Galligan, director, co-writer, and star of Indiana Jones and the Secret of the Queen's Giant. John, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Clinton? Thank you for having me. When you were giving me the introduction there, I kind of felt like Tommy Wiseau, director, star, producer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this man runs the whole gamut. I think you were involved in everything but sound, pretty much.
I did dabble in the sound. I mean, I guess every fan film, I think mostly the guy who writes the story and is involved in a lot of the aspects of the filmmaking. I would guess. I mean, I'm an editor by trade. Like that's what I do first and foremost. But like, obviously I did the editing. But it's been a dream to be in an Indiana Jones film. Like most Indiana Jones diehard fans, like we always dream of being Indiana Jones on the big screen. So I mean, when I wrote it for me. So, that's how that worked out.
Okay, so just starting out, why Indiana Jones?
Well, I mean, I guess we got time here to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
It's cut me off if I talk too much. I might have the gift of gab here.
You're fine.
Yeah, if I have any questions too, because I don't want to ramble. But Indiana Jones is I come from a broken home, so Indiana Jones was something that I turned to as a young kid to kind of escape the realities of having a hard time at home. My parents were divorced at a young age, and things were difficult. So me and my brother, we both turned to Star Wars and Indiana Jones to kind of escape. So we'd watch the movies and play with the toys and kind of daydream our way out of whatever troubles we were dealing with. And I guess it's always stuck with me that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I figured I'm also in a band. Shout out to my band Dead by Choice with my brother as well. I play drums, he plays guitar, and he writes all the music. So anyway, I guess we wanted a way to escape that kind of stuff, and I guess trying to dabble into filmmaking, being in the band, I knew that you start off with covers when you're learning an instrument. So I felt like the best way to learn to be a filmmaker was to cover something or pay homage to something and learn from, try to learn from those that did the craft at such a high level. Like, and obviously Spielberg and Lucas, that's why we went right for Indiana Jones. And my brother was a big help too in the filmmaking process. He did all the sound, and he actually starred as Forrestal in the film. So he was there with me the whole step of the way too. So that's pretty much why Indiana Jones, I guess.
Okay, and this was your first fan film that you did?
Yeah, this is my first film that I did. I did some acting in another film some years back, but this is my first film, fan film in general, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, and you actually you won some awards for this, am I right?
Yeah, we won. I entered it in a bunch of film festivals, and we won some pretty cool awards and stuff, and we won a lot of awards actually. Not to toot our own horn. I'm much to my surprise.
Oh actually, no, please do, because
no, I can't. It's a funny. You learn so much. Like it took us 2 years, and I can't let this go. But without saying it. But I learned so much from my ended up becoming one of my best friends. His name is Luca Canessa, and he's a veteran filmmaker, 15 years of making film. And we met by chance after filming one day. some like rehearsal footage at the scene of where we were going to film. You know, we went back to eat. We were all hungry. It was me, my brother, my girlfriend Debbie, and now my fiance actually. She's the DP of the film, and she did all the artwork for the poster too. I mean, I involved so many of my best friend is Wuhan, so I tried to involve so many because, like I said, Indiana Jones is something really close to my heart. So I wanted to make this picture something that I could cherish, you know, and I thought involving people I love and care about would really make it something memorable for me. But when we met Luca, it was a crazy meeting. I was kind of complaining, like most directors do, that we editors too, that I didn't have the capability of editing in 4K. My machine that I had was like, you know, kind of a regular machine, and I just wasn't going to be able to do it. But our camera was capable of shooting in UHD. So Luca had overheard us. He was at the restaurant. He came over to me, and he introduced himself in a very professional way, which is Luca's style. And he, you know, as I said, I was in a band. I'm in a band, so like I've experienced a lot of people coming over to us at the show and telling us a lot of like, I'm in the record industry, yada yada. So when Luca came over, it didn't feel like those guys, because a lot of those guys, I don't want to curse, but a lot of them are BSers. So they come up to you and they're like, I play drums with, you know, whatever, for Led Zeppelin back in, you know, something crazy. And so I'm used to that. But Luca was different, and I kind of knew. He put his card there, and I kind of had the feeling. So that weekend, I told Luca, I picked him up. He came to the shoot the next week, which was another a great feeling, because you know, a lot of people say things and then they don't come through, but Luca's not that kind of guy. And when I picked him up, I was a little apprehensive to tell him what we were shooting. So when he got in the car, he said, "Oh, what is this picture you're shooting?" And I said, it kind of was like, it's a fan film. And he's like, "What's it about?" And I said, Indiana Jones. And I kind of said it like, you know, because I didn't want him to think it was just me dressing up with the fedora and going crazy. And I felt him look at me, and he told me that he had studied that in film school for a year, his first year, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So once that happened, it was like kismet. It was a match made in heaven. I hit it off with him, and we were so close for 2 years. He ended up becoming one of my best friends. I can't say enough about him and his ability to make films, and his ability to you know, to get the right shot, to make things cinematic. He's just a fantastic filmmaker. And that, you know, that was a really big help in the filmmaking, I guess, the filmmaking process that we had, you know.
Yeah. Well, folks, John is definitely being humble here, because just skimming through, two of the awards that stand out to me are Best Editing and Best Fan Film. So for somebody that this is their first effort, I mean, you came out of the gate running.
That's really humbling. Like I said, man, I when you make a fan film, you know, we got lucky enough to have Luca's talent, and Debbie too. I can't say enough about her talent. I mean, I'm enthralled by her. Obviously, I asked her to marry me. So, yeah, she's her artistic talent is second to none. I mean, if you guys could check out the poster when you get a chance, it's. I mean, I wanted her to do a Richard Amsel ish film ish poster for the film, and man, she hit it right out of the park. She did the Raiders one, and really did it her own way, gave it her own flavor, and I couldn't be happier with that. She also did the map that I hold in the film.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it here. It's, I don't know if you could see, but
yeah, that, man,
yeah,
that's still beautiful.
Yeah, I framed it because it's amazing. But she did it. She weathered it, and it looks old. And I hold it in the film in the beginning. I mean, to win those awards, knowing that I mean, my brother is so talented in sound. He's a songwriter, and he recorded all the music. You could hear us on Spotify, Dead by Choice. If you go to Spotify, and that's Dead by Choice. If you know, we're a metal band, and Chris does all the recording. And he's just a great sound engineer, and so many talented people I had around me, Luca, Debbie, and my brother Chris, and you see things unfolding, and my vision was just taking on new life. And to win an award, we got like some really good reviews too. I kind of put it out there to be reviewed. I wanted, it's my first film, so I was kind of like, I wanted to see what I can correct, what I can work on. So when I put it out there for the festivals, I was hopeful that like I didn't expect that I would win. I just expected that I would get some fans, some feedback, and the positive feedback. We got a couple of like critical things, and I'm aware of a lot of it. So that's what brings us to the future and want to make more films, not just Indiana Jones, but because we're making a sequel to this one. Yeah. We're making a sequel to this one, but I'm a writer, so like I'm a very big Indiana Jones is my number one. I'm the biggest fan, but I'm also a very big Hitchcock fan, and I'm a very big Rod Serling fan. So like,
very nice.
Yeah, there's some things about the Indiana Jones film we made. I kind of had to like kind of watered down a little. I wanted to do a little bit more of horror in a sense, like, but I had to like, because it's Indiana Jones, so you want to keep it in that genre. And but I have other films that I'd love to put out there that I wrote that, it's like I said about, like I alluded to before, being in a band, you do covers, and that's how you start off, as you play in your garage with, you jam out like your favorite songs, you learn your instrument. That's kind of what I'm doing here with Indiana Jones. And I love film. I can say that and music saved my life, I think, coming from a difficult situation when I was a kid. And it's really amazing that I was able to put out a film. And I'm very humbled by, like, I can't even say it enough. It's just, to me, when I went back, get back to this too, when I went to the restaurant when we met Luca, and I was complaining about not being able to film in 4K, at that time, I didn't think I was making a film. I just thought we were having fun, creating something that we would enjoy for each other. It wasn't until Luca got involved that I realized, right after that first shoot, that I realized what we were capable of doing. And hearing the awards and all that stuff, it doesn't feel like, it feels so like humbling that and I'm not trying to be, I'm a straight shooter, so I'm not trying to be like, I really am. I'm sincere when I say I'm like, I'm very humbled by it. I hope people enjoy it. We worked hard on it, and I really hope people enjoy it. I really do.
I mean, that the love, the work, all of that, it really does show. So, I mean, all those awards are well deserved.
Thanks, Clinton, so much, and thank you for having me here on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what were some of your more memorable moments during the shooting?
Oh, good question. There's a lot. Well, I had to learn to do the whip. That was something I really got involved with. And my good friend Gus, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Cesados, Gus. He's a whip maker, and I found my friend Jared. His name is, he calls himself Throw Me the Whip on Instagram. He's another diehard Indiana Jones fan. And once I started like posting my cosplay, he and I linked up, and he was a big help in helping me get my authentic jacket and my hat. And my hat is Steel and Jones. It's the fedora. I can't say enough about a lot of the stuff that the costume itself, because it's really fun. But the whip itself, I had to learn how to do it, and it was difficult. Whip craft is not easy, and I got pretty good at it. It took a while. I whipped myself in the eye there's a take. I actually have footage of it. I was like doing a practice run of a shot, and while I was in the woods, and I spun the whip around my head. It's an overhead crack I was doing, and it hit a branch behind me unbeknownst to me. And when it did, it changed the trajectory. Luckily, I didn't get hit with the end of it. I got hit with kind of the middle or the handle in my eye. When it hit me, I didn't know what part of the whip hit me because it hurt like crazy. And I went down on all fours thinking I like took out my eye. I guess that's not really that memorable. I mean, it's memorable.
Yeah, it's memorable.
It's
for
memorable.
Sure.
Yeah, it's something that probably, it's funny because it's not the best moment, but it's memorable in the sense that it sticks with me as a moment where I like when I went down on all fours, I said, "What the hell am I doing out here, man? What? Well, I just lost my eye. I mean, it was like it felt like that, you know." And yeah, there's some great moments. I mean, my good friend Blake, who's he's a manager at AMC. So a lot of cool stories to tell about him, but he plays the character, the kid in the film, Kid Parker, and he's like Jones's like sidekick, student protege, and I got some memories with him. Got some memories with my good friend Billy, who's actually my neighbor. He lives above me. He's like a Shotokan champion, and he's the one I fight. He's Forrestal's like henchman. And we have like a nice little brawl, trying to give a little homage to Pat Roach. Trying, you know. Billy is a fantastic martial artist. I mean, he throws crazy roundhouse kicks, but he's not as big as Pat Roach. So, you know, we try, but you know, so many things can be said. Gabby, she's in the film as well, and she's in a band with my brother called Manic Blue. They're in a band together. And she plays Sophia Hapgood, which is a character. I don't know a lot of Indiana Jones fans out there that might know her, but she's like a character from like not from the films, but from a lot of the other media. And we have her. And one other thing I gotta say. So when I was a kid, I had a neighbor, and his name was Frank, and he moved away. I don't want to date myself on how old I am, but I was very young. He moved away in 1987 from being my neighbor, and he was my best friend. Him and his brother Danny were best friends with me and my brother Chris. We're the same age, which is really cool. Danny being the younger, like my brother. And they moved away. And when they move away and you're a kid and that happens, it's heartbreaking. I hadn't seen him for 30 years. So Facebook, I ended up finding him, like just through a search. It was crazy. And I found him, and we got to talking, and I couldn't believe, you know, how we hit it off. And he actually plays Mara, the being that lives in the tree. And yeah, so, and because he's very good at doing like cosmetics and costume and cosplaying. So he ended up doing the Mara thing, and that was also really cool. And then there's just so many. I could go on and on about. It's mostly them. You know, it's funny. Like there are moments that are really cool, but it's mostly the cast and crew. Like Scott, who ended up playing Belloc, and like you know, he's a good friend of mine too. And like it just we had so much fun doing the film. You know what I mean? Like I can't say it enough. Everybody involved. You know. So Victor, Big Evil, and Sven, those are the big guys at the end that I fight. Sven is the really big guy. He goes to my gym. He's a very, very big dude. He's like a Pat Roach kind of guy. The snakes, you know, the car, stuff like that is really, really memorable. I had to learn how to drive stick. Driving that car. Driving that car. It was a 1930 car, and it's just an amazing automobile.
So the car was like 100% authentic. It's not like a replica or anything.
No. It's a real deal.
Oh, wow.
It's real deal car. And yeah, so I mean the driving it's weird. It's like when you drive, I learned how to drive a stick on my brother's car, and it's a new car. I think it was a Hyundai, I think. But I'd learned how to drive on that for the shoot. And when I got in the Model A, when I got in it, it was much different. It felt like it was like you were making it go. It's hard to explain. It wasn't as much machinery going on. Like there's no power steering, and when you put it in gear, it's like it's you got to put it in gear, and it's a hard thing to do. But that was cool too, driving that vehicle. Um, and we had just so much fun shooting, so much fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up the other characters because Pat, my co-host on the episode, he was so happy that Sophia was there because he had
Yeah,
played like some of the Indiana Jones games on computer and stuff.
right,
So,
right.
but neither of us could place where Kid Parker comes from.
Oh no, he's made up. I made him up.
That is
I
so awesome.
Yeah, I made him up because I wanted to have some of my own like little I wanted to add some stuff to it that was my own. And it's like another thing too. The film, as I said, it was the reason why this film uh, to me it means so much is that it just took on more life as I went. I added more scenes as we went along. I didn't write it in the traditional sense, like the new one, that the second one we're writing. I'm writing it more traditional sense, where I have everything written down at first, because now I know what we can do. I didn't know what we can do. I wasn't sure what we were capable of. So I added scenes as we went along and added actors and characters as we moved along. And that really like was why Kid Parker is somebody I came up with. I felt like Jones needed a sidekick. I didn't have a kid to play short round. So yeah, and I you know, and it just turned out that way. I'm good friends with Blake. We always go to see, like, he works at AMC, so we go see movies together a lot. And we were just talking about it, and I was like, I'm going to put you in the film. I got a part. You'll be the sidekick, and it just worked out. And hopefully he'll be in the second one as well.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So, how long did shooting last?
All right. Well, shooting took a long time. I mean, if you put it all into one thing, I would say it lasted maybe 2 weeks. Like if you did like 14 days, I would say, total, because we did a lot of shoots, reshoots. There was a lot. So I would say we were on set for about 14 days. We had to rent a studio. That's where we recreated when I go inside. I don't know. I could give spoilers. When I go inside the tree, so we had to recreate that, and we did a lot of that stuff. And it took time to build it. It took time for us to create the world that we wanted to create in that sense. So it took a while, but all in all, it took for editing and the final. Man, it took so many different shapes. The film, but we added a lot. So I would say it took 2 years from first shoot
Wow.
to final to get it to be where we could put it up on. It did change too, because we had a, a release, and when we did, we had you know, everyone came to the theater. It was a big event, and that version of the film I still have, but it did change when I put it up finally. That was kind of, you got deadlines. You sign up for that, and then you want to make changes. It's a lot that goes into it, man. It's a lot. Putting it up on the screen, there's a lot of things that are involved, and it took 2 years, I would say. But shooting the actual stuff was 14 days. So if you think about that, it takes some time to really hone it, because you're editing and time passes, people's schedules. It's when you're making a fan film, it's a lot of guerrilla style filmmaking. It's not like, yeah, we don't have like a big budget, no big film studio that's like backing us. So, it's difficult. And we only had like Debbie, and we had our little 4K handheld camera out there. And, we had one camera. We didn't get to see dailies. We didn't get to see like any of that. We'd look into the little camera thing. It was our first time out there. So,
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff I'd love to, for anyone that makes films, there's some advice I could give them, I guess, to help them, but because I'm going to use that for my second go round at this. But it takes a long time. It's a long, especially if you care about it and you want it to represent something, if you want it to be as good as it can be, you want to get the right people involved, and it takes time.
Okay, and without being like too nosy, we're always curious on here, like what a film's budget is.
Oh, okay, that's no problem. Yeah, I mean, we did a GoFundMe and we got around, I'd say $1,200, which helped us pay for the studio, which the studio was 800 per month. We wanted it for 1 month. It ended up being two, so the 1,200 went towards that. But all in all, with the car rental, and if you factor in buying the camera, which we had to do, and the cosplay costume that I had to get, the fedora, the whip, the everything is very expensive. It all in all came to about $12,000. So yeah, it's a lot of work, and this comes with me being able to use Luca's studio for free, which Luca is my really good friend. So that's why, we work together like that. And if I didn't have that, it could have cost me an astronomical amount of money. This film could have cost, it could have cost 100,000. I mean, if you look at 2 years of making it, going to the studio time, we have it in Dolby surround sound. And we did that for my friend Lewis. He helped Chris with that. He did the mixing and the mastering, and some of the mixing. Chris did a lot of the mixing. Chris did the ADR and the dialogue replacement, and Chris did all the Foley, all the noise, and that costs money too. It's my brother doing it. If my brother didn't do it, could have cost me a lot. Even Debbie, my girlfriend, doing the poster could have cost like fucking. Oh, there you go. We should have had a little counter there. I caught myself. The poster could have cost, man, it could have cost a lot, over 1,000, I guess, for the poster. And the map she did, and even her filming, everything involved. It could have been a lot of money. It could have been hundreds of thousands, actually, thinking about it.
Man.
Yeah, but I got lucky. It was about 12,000. Maybe a little under 12,000, maybe a little around it. I knew the number, but because I added it up so many times. It's just you adding things and changing things, and then it's crazy that I want to do it again. But but I have an idea on how I can lessen that, and I can improve upon what we did, because there are some things I need to improve with the film.
Okay, so for people that are like completely half a country away like me, I had absolutely no clue the Queen's Giant is a real tree.
Yes, it's a real tree. Yeah.
So did your story come about because of like local legends or anything, or is it just something you came up with?
Great question. Okay, so actually, this is my favorite question. So one day my dad works for the parks. Well, he had worked for the New York City Parks Department. And one day I was about 11 years old. I was sitting down. It was a beautiful day out. I was in my living room watching, I don't remember what. And my dad came in and he said, "Hey, it's a beautiful day. Why don't you go outside, enjoy, what am I going to do outside? I'm going to hang out in here." "Yeah, you should go to where I work. There's this really cool tree." I said, "A tree?" And he said, "Yeah, it's really tall and really old, and you should go check it out." And I was like, "How old is it?" And he told me how old it was. It was like 300-400 years old, and it's really tall. It's the tallest and oldest living thing in New York. And when you think in New York, you think of tall things, You think of like all the buildings and stuff, and you think of the tallest tree. I never really thought about there being some kind of special tree. And when he walked away, I remember that I began daydreaming about going out to find the tree. He said that it's secluded and hidden, which really piqued my interest, because he said it's hidden because they don't want people vandalizing it. They don't want people, because that's how it can be in New York. People might do stuff to the tree, I guess. I don't know. But I just daydreamed from that moment. I was 11. So all that time I had always thought about what it would be like to go out there as Jones to try to find this mythical tree and what lurks in. Oh, he said you can go inside it too. He said it's so big you can go inside it. I was like, go inside it? How big is this tree? And It's just the more I thought about it, the more my mind was going. But I never had the ability to film anything back then. It wasn't like any kind of real way I could get my hand on a camera. I was 11, and then as time goes on, you never really think like, oh, I'm gonna make a movie about a tree, and then but you do. I did daydream a lot about that. I daydreamed about me being Jones and what it would be like to be Indiana Jones and go and discover this tree, go inside it. What evils lurk inside there? And it just, when I saw it up on the screen at the premiere, probably one of the greatest moments of my life. Just watching that, knowing I had dreamed of, the story was a little different than the one I had dreamed of, but it's still kind of similar. I had an idea that there would be like an old being, some kind of deity living inside there who, like, it kind of like Last Crusade-ish, where he had, like, because the tree of life, I always thought about that, like how old it is. So I thought, like, oh, there's some evil spirit who's lurking in there, and he, maybe he can't leave the tree or he loses his power, and he that's the price of immortality, like they say in Last Crusade. So it just took on a life, and that's the Queen's Giant. It's a real tree. It's very big. It is ominous. There's like a gate that goes around it. We wanted to remove the gate for cinematic purposes, but we couldn't really. You can't really do that for the part. And I could have done that with like CGI, but that would have cost too much money. If I was doing it with an unlimited budget, like some kind of Hollywood thing, I would have definitely removed the fence. But
I like the fence, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's then maybe I won't remove it. But yeah, they keep a fence up around it because I guess people in New York get crazy. I don't know. I really don't know why anyone would want to destroy a tree. I don't know. Actually, on set, now that I think about it, there was a guy there who was maybe a homeless guy, but he was mentally disturbed, unfortunately. And he was there. He had like a computer that wasn't plugged in, and he was like tapping away on it, and he kind of was like interfering with what we were doing, and it almost got bad because I have the Shotokan champion with me, and there was like some kind of stuff going on, and the guy wouldn't leave, and it got bad, but he left. I guess that's why they don't advertise it. Maybe they don't want people like me cutting down the fence. I don't know. So yeah, climbing inside of it, but yeah, it's cool. It's a very cool thing. It really is. It's like 140 feet tall, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think there's plenty of trees, like you think of the sequoias in like California. Those are unbelievably tall. Those would make this thing look like nothing. But for New York standard, we're not known for having, I guess Central Park, but we're not known for having, lots of trees. But upstate we are, but not in the city.
Okay, so shifting back to some of the characters.
Yeah.
When you guys filmed, everybody is perfectly visible except for Marcus Brody.
Yes.
Like you guys intentionally hid his face.
Yes.
Like, what was the thinking behind that?
Okay. Well, we didn't have an actor that resembled him, and we tried to find someone, but it was a little difficult to get someone who would be a little older and resembled Brody. So we had a stand-in do it, and the stand-in is actually my brother. Yeah, my brother, he wore one of my suits, and he did the shot. We did the shot with him, and the voiceover is actually a good friend, Mario. He's a DJ Rio, and a good friend of mine. He does voices. He's like a character actor and a theater kid. So he did the voice of Brody, and yeah, we kind of did that way. I thought it would be cool if we did it that way. I wouldn't say Luca was that happy with it, because it kind of is. It's one of those cinematic things where it's not advisable to have a character where you don't see their face but you hear their voice. But they do it, and we did it. Hopefully, we did it as good as we could do it, and I think we pulled it off. I think it adds a little bit, but we had to have it that way because we just couldn't. We didn't have any actors that can do it, because they'd have to do the accent, I guess, and they'd have to look like him, and it was hard to get that. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean, just think of it as going back to the old George Lucas formula if you worked with what you had.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what we did. We tried to. We were just trying to be creative. I mean, we had that awesome well, it's not really a library. It's like an office. It's a
Mm-hmm.
law office, and it's it really fit the mood of the shoot, and we couldn't be happier with that too. That was a good way of shooting too. That was fun. Yeah.
Okay, and I mean, we spoiled everything on the earlier podcast. So the teaser at the end, is that what is going to lead into the sequel at all, or is that just like a little wink and nod for fans?
Well, it's both. It's a wink and nod, but yeah, we want to lead it into the sequel. We want to have that be something that we wanted to intrigue people. There's like this thing. It's funny too. I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I do like Marvel. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not. I'm more of a DC guy. I'm more of a. I like the Dark Knight. I like the old Supermans. The new one's okay. I'm not knocking it, but this was more of a nod to the Marvel kind of stinger scenes that they have going, and I thought it would be cool for Jones to kind of get into that modernish, stinger scene, after credit scene, and that's why we did it. We also did it because I did want to make another one. Yeah, it's funny because I want to move to making I want to move to making original stuff, but I'm just such a diehard Indiana Jones fan. I just can't. I can't let it go. I got to make another one, and I want it to be bigger and better. I'm trying to get a horse. I want there to be a scene with Jones riding a horse in this next film. I'm trying to up it, like the same way they do. I get them, man. I get why they do what they do. And if you look at all the Indiana Jones films, save the fourth one, which I don't want to talk about the fourth one. But if you look at the original trilogy, they used all different types of vehicles. They got motorcycles, trucks, horses, Zeppelin, airplanes, all different kinds of vehicles, tanks. I mean, they just had one vehicle after another, and that's something I like, and that's what we're going to try to do with ours. We're going to try to keep pace with that. We need to have a horse, maybe a boat. They had submarine, which is an infamous thing with Jones, where he's like holding on to the, and people wonder, how did he get to the island but there is actually some outtakes of that. They didn't put it in the film of him holding on to the periscope. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's a cool little tidbit there. But did you ever see that or no?
No, I've never seen the outtakes on it. No.
Yeah, take a look at the outtakes of the Raiders. It's actually really, really intriguing because you wonder like how he was on top of the submarine at the end, and you wonder how did he, if it goes underwater, how did he get submerged? And well, it ended up that they had it. They were going to explain it by him holding on to the periscope and kind of going with it, which is crazy. But I guess that's why I didn't put it in there. But there's outtakes on YouTube. They're cool. They're cool.
I'll definitely have to check them out.
Yeah, check them out.
Okay, so do you have any ideas for a non-Indiana Jones fan film?
Not really. As I said, I'm a fan of Hitchcock and Rod Serling. So Twilight Zone. I did write what I would think would be an episode of Twilight Zone. I wrote, but it's more of an original thing. It's more of an inspired. I wouldn't call it a fan film. It's not. I'm not gonna have it in black and white. I'm not gonna have Rod come out or someone play Rod come out. But it's called My Favorite Jacket, and yeah, I sent it out. I got a copy written and stuff. So my girlfriend's actually, Debbie, is working on the novel. We're making a novel, a graphic novel of it, and we're gonna try to make that as a film too. But it's kind of fan-ish. It's inspired. I'm inspired by Rod. I watch Twilight Zone, so it's just, I could talk for days about that as well. Twilight Zone is way ahead of its time. It's just great stuff. Great stuff. But if I was thinking of fan film, and there's always the Star Wars stuff that's out there. You know, there's a lot of that. Did you see the reimagining of the end duel between Obi-Wan and Vader, where they did like I don't know, a re-edit of it, and some fan did it. It's really well done. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I haven't seen that one either.
I'll have to send you a link. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing.
Wow.
A fan like made the fight like more in line of how like the fight that would be
like how they do them in the newer movies.
Yeah, and it's really well done. Really well done.
Cool.
Do you have any ideas of fan films?
Oh, anything you want to churn out, I will definitely be watching.
Because I'm saying, you have any ideas?
Oh, me?
Okay. Yeah.
No, not really.
Really?
No, I dabbled in acting back in high school, drama classes and stuff, but I am definitely no actor and certainly no filmmaker. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I see you got, like I asked you before, but you got the X-Men there. Is there there's no ideas that you would have for any like maybe fan films or any ideas? Are you a Marvel fan or?
Marvel, DC, just comics in general. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Marvel. I'm a big Marvel fan too. I would say I'm more of a DC guy, but I do love Marvel. I do. Hulk is like one of my favorite characters. I love the Incredible Hulk. So, but and I collect comics as well too. And by the way, Indiana Jones, his comics, like not only are they Dark Horse, but there is Marvel. The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones. I have all of them.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I collect that too. Big collector of like Indiana Jones memorabilia and stuff. But they're Marvels. Can't say I'm not a fan of Marvel. Indiana Jones has Marvel books. So yeah.
Well, that pretty much wraps up all my questions. Is there anything else you'd like to let everybody know about Indiana Jones and the Secret of the Queen's Giant?
Oh, well, you could, if you want to see the film, you could see it on YouTube. It's Blast Beat Productions. If you go to YouTube and just put in Indiana Jones and the Secret of the Queen's Giant, it'll pop up. We have a trailer, and then we have our feature. It's not feature length, but our full short film. It's there. It's I think it's like 23 minutes. So if you have like some time, check it out. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe. I'd love to hear from whoever's listening, and any feedback is really welcome, positive or constructive, whatever you got to add. I'd love to hear it. And that's it. I really want to thank you for having me, Clinton. I really appreciate this. This has really been fun.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Be sure and let everybody know where they can find you other than just YouTube.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. I guess I think it's Johnny Bombs, would be Johnny_Bombs. I think that's what it is. And you can find my band, Dead by Choice, on Instagram. And also Instagram, Secret of the Queen's Giant. If you put that in, you can find us there too. That's really it.
Okay. And for anybody that's listening, you can also email the at contact@longboxcrusade.com or fanfilmfridays@gmail.com. And I will definitely pass any comments along over to John. So don't worry. He will hear all the positive feedback.
Thank you, Clinton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. And we will cut it there, folks. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again. Well, I say see you. We're normally an audio medium on another Fan Film Fridays.